So right from the start, we have a starter scene that you could download from GitHub, and it has these three little bouncing platform scenes. They don't have any code at the start. You'll have to code it yourself if you want to follow along with the video. And right here, let's just take a look at them. Let's say we start off with some basic first-person character movement controller. This is unhandled input for mouse. We have some basic control key movement. You know, all the like basic first-person character controller stuff. At the moment, it does not handle bouncing platforms very well. So first off, we're going to go to our bounce scene, and then we're going to make a little script for it. Next, we're just going to make a bounce variable that'll move the player in a certain direction, and it'll be export so that we can change it, and we're just going to initialize it at first to 0. Next, we're going to make an array of bodies that will collect all the bodies that collide with the area that we're going to have. We don't have it yet, but I'll add it soon. So next, we're going to check through all the bodies in that array, and we're just going to use it with the 4 body in bodies. And if any of those bodies has a method called setVelocity, then we're going to set that velocity to the bounce variable that we have. The nice part about this is that with the setVelocity, we could do whatever we want in that function, and we're just passing in the bounce variable, so that class, whatever it is, will do whatever it wants with that bounce variable. Next, we need some way to collect the bodies for that body array, so we're going to add an area with a collision shape, and we're going to use that as a trigger so that whenever any body crosses into it, then we're going to add it to that array. And right here, after we get all the bounds set up for the collision shape, as you're seeing right now, we're going to make the collision bounds along the edges of the platform, so that way it makes it seem like the player is actually triggering the platform. The signals, we're going to connect the signals to our script, and that will make it so that it collects the bodies whenever something trips up the script. And here's where we're going to check it. So right here, we're going to check if it's not a static body. That'll be the first check, because we want to make sure that we don't care about trying to bounce a static body. We only want to bounce maybe kinematic bodies or rigid bodies. That's about it. And if it's in the bodies array. So we just want to check if the body is in the bodies array, and that'll be our 2 checks. So we just want to make sure it's not a static body and that it's not in the bodies array. And then if both of those are true, we're going to append it to that array. We're going to append body to the bodies. And that will work on that. And we're going to do a very similar check over here. So I'm just going to copy and paste. And we're just going to say if it is in there. And we're going to change this to an erase. So what this is basically doing, this is just adding it to the array of bodies. So once something collides into that area right here, we're going to add it to the bodies, and then we're going to go into here, and we're going to set their velocity to whatever that is. So this could work on multiple scripts all the time. And it'll just try and push them out. If you got the velocity right, of course, it'll just try and push them out of there until where it will erase them once they leave the area. I have not done anything else yet with it. I still need to make it move. And what we need to do, we need to make sure it works with the player. So for it to work with the player, we need to make a variable called outer velocity that the bounce will affect. And we're just going to add that onto our velocity that's passed into move and slide. And we're going to use the setVelocity function to set the outer velocity by passing vel of type vector 3 and just send the outer velocity to that vector. Another thing you could do to make sure that it defies the gravity that's being thrown at you, you could actually just set velocity to plus equals to velocity as well. You don't have to do that. Maybe this might work for you. In fact, I'm just going to keep that off at first. But right now, it's kind of a hack in a way, because it's better if you just set that. Because then it'll just like basically double add in a way. It'll double add that velocity and it'll go into here. But I have noticed that sometimes it works a little strangely. But yeah, just with this script in particular. I have another script that I use for my game, and this method works perfectly with it. Okay, just to show you what I'm talking about in my game, I got a little script set up for bouncing platforms, and it will bounce you up just fine. See that? See how it bounced me up? Okay, so like when you look at my player script, all I actually do is just set that outer velocity. But for some reason, I don't want to show my entire script. I just want to show that one. So let's say set velocity. Look, all I do is set the outer velocity. But for some reason in that other script, I got to set the velocity, set the outer velocity, and add to the velocity. So just in case you're not bouncing the way you want to just add vel to velocity, and then you got it. What we need to do is we need to check if it's on the floor, then we're going to do this. So outer velocity equals a vector 3 dot 0. And we're just going to set it back to 0, so that way it doesn't keep adding it. And this is plus outer velocity. And that will make sure that we add it to our velocity. So let's see if this works. Boom. See? Bounced it pretty high, but look, sometimes it doesn't work. It's a little weird. Like if you're still in it, it won't push you, but if you jump, it'll work. So this is why I like to set the velocity also in the player script. Let's see the player. I like to set it to do this, so that way it also affects the velocity. Usually you don't have to do this, but yeah. But boom, it'll shove them up there. So that's a little bit too much bounce, of course. Let's do something more like 5 and see if that works. Not enough bounce. Kind of enough bounce. Yeah. Okay. Another thing you might want to do when doing this like script is you want to like check if the player hits the ceiling too to make them basically flip their velocity in a way. So is on ceiling. So what I like to do is I just like to say velocity dot y times equal to negative 0.5. So this will just make them bounce off the ceiling a little bit. Watch. Boom. Well, let's see. See if it still did it. I forgot to set the outer velocity as well. And just remember right here, I don't type it. But make sure you only set the y-axis. So that way it only affects the y-axis. Because you don't really care if you hit the ceiling if you have an x-axis based outer velocity. Let's look. Boom. Boom. Okay, well, let's try hit the ceiling again. So boom. See, it worked. Hell yeah. Let's see. Let's see it again. Boom. Works beautifully. Now we just need to make the bounces work for these. Let's go. Oh shit. But yeah. Boom. So we're just gonna make that we're gonna make this platform bounce up there. We're gonna make that platform that's up there. You can't really see it. Bounces all the motherfucking way over here. So we just need to add that same script that we had. So bouncy, load, add the area, add the collision shape. Put that collision shape right here, just the same way we did it. And just make sure that all the bounds are set just fine. Boom, I got it. Okay, so let's go to area entered, and body exited. Right there, hell yeah. Area, collision shape. And we need to make sure we got that script. Little box shape again. Move the area to the right. See if we get a good, okay, that's good view. Okay. And boom. Now we got all those bounds set up. Body entered right there. Body exited right there. We got them both connected. Let's see. Okay. We need to make it a little bit less bouncy. Let's do about 7. Oh yeah. Okay, so let's get that bounce 3 going. Say about negative 60. I think that'll be good. Or get smacked over there. Boom, motherfucker. We get slammed over there. Damn. Boom. Works every time. Okay, that's almost effortless. Oh, I accidentally did it actually that time. Okay, so now we got all the bouncing working. So that's one step in the right direction. That's the basics that we want working. So on top of the bounce now, we also want to add a vector 3 that is going to determine how the bouncing platform moves when it bounces us. So this will be called like move something. You can name it whatever you want. I'll just set it to default 0, 2.5, and 0. That seems to be a pretty good value for just making it bounce up. And yeah. Soon we're going to make a timer that will dictate how long it takes for the platform to move the length of the move amount vector we have. After that time is up, the platform will reset itself. We'll call this time reset time, and it'll be a float that I'll set to a default of 1 second. Next, we're going to make 2 booleans and 2 timers. The booleans will just be set to false at first because they're not going to be active, and they'll represent whether the timers have timed out or not yet. And we'll have a timer that we'll call like move timer and another timer called stop timer. And they will both be set to the same wait time as our reset time. So our reset time will dictate the time for both of them. Also, since this moving platform is going to be moving, we're going to have a speed variable and a velocity variable. And the speed will just be determined by the reset time and the distance that we're going to move the bouncing platform. And the velocity will just also include the direction on top of the speed. We're also going to keep track of the original position and the ending position that will be determined by after we're done moving. Next, inside our ready function, we're going to set up the timers by adding them as children. And then after that, we're going to set up their wait times to both be the reset time. And we're going to set both of their one shots to true, because we only want them to be activated once upon each activation or whatever. And also, we're going to connect their signals to a couple functions. So the move timer will be connected to move, and the stop timer will be connected to stop. Next, we're going to set the original position to just be the global transform.origin, and the end position will be the original position plus our move amount vector. Next, we're going to find the speed by subtracting end position by original position. And we're going to find the length of that and then divide it by reset time. And that will give us our speed. And after that, we're going to find the velocity and do the end position again minus the original position. But this time we're going to find dot normalized because we want a unit vector. And then we're just going to times it by the speed we found. So in our physics process function, we're going to go between two states. So it's going to be either moving or resetting. And move is the movement stage. So we're going to add the global transform.origin by velocity. And in the stop stage, which is going to be the resetting stage, we're going to subtract it. Take note that you do not want to use move and slide here. You just want to change the global transform.origin instead. This will move towards the move direction, and this will move away from the move direction, so wherever you want. Now we're on to the move function. So the move function, the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to set move to false, because that's telling us that we're done moving, and because it is just timed out on the move timer. And then after that, what we're going to do is we're going to set the global transform.origin to the end position to make sure it actually goes to that position and basically resets itself, doesn't go past it. And after that, what we're going to do is we're going to set stop to true because we want to start resetting the moving platform. And after that, we're going to start the stop timer. So this timer, when it times out, it will actually start the stop timer right afterwards. So we're kind of chaining these events together. The stop timer is a bit more simple because it doesn't have to go to another timer. All it does is just set stop to false, like we set move to false. And it sets the global transform.origin to our original position, once again, to make sure it doesn't go past the original position. And all we need to do is just make sure that the timer gets started. We need a little if statement, basically. So we'll have if not move and not stop. This just basically makes sure that we're not already moving or already resetting. This will make sure that it always goes through the same cycle. It always moves up and goes back down and waits for the next one. We're going to set move is equal to true, and then we're going to have a move timer start. And this will start the whole process, and then so the player is basically starting the process, but they'll be bounced whenever they step into the platform. You could make it to where it's like this, but that'll only work on one body. We want it to work on multiple bodies, so we're just going to do it like this. Boom. Moves a little bit too far, actually. So what we want to do is we want to make the reset time a little bit less. I like to make 0.25 about a quarter of a second. Let's make it about something like 1.75. That seems about right. But yeah, this does actually look like it's bouncing us. You can see it. Boom, boom, boom. We're going to go to here now, and we're going to set this to about 1.75 because it's about the same distance. I was pretty lazy in the map design. And this one will be about not in that direction. We're going to have in the negative x direction. So negative 1.75 right there. Maybe about negative 2.5 just in case it is right. And we're going to set to 0.35. This one will be a little bit slower of a thing. Okay. Boom. That's already working, I think. Yep. Boom. Okay. I can't go. Oh, okay. I think that moved. I can't tell, actually. Let's see. I think it did. Let's see. Let's do a ridiculous amount. I say about 25. That's gonna move. It's gonna go in 0.25 seconds. So it's gonna basically stick to us as we're moving. I need to set a little more of an X thing in that one. Let's do about 10. Basically be at like a 45-degree angle. Let's say a little bit slower. I couldn't see if that worked. Let's do about 2 seconds. So it'll take 2 seconds to move 25 units. So. Yep, it worked. See? You can see it moving. That's motherfucking cool, huh? Okay. So let's see about negative 2.5 and like 0.35 again. Okay. So this is basically everything's working. We got all the moving platforms working, all of our players being affected by them correctly. Well, I hope this helped. Have a wonderful motherfucking day.